Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day, and again, that you're looking after yourselves and one another. We are back with our top 5 albums of the 1990s. I'm joined by Mr. Bill Schuster. How you doing, Bill?
Wonderful, Armando. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. We're in the middle of a snowstorm in the springtime.
I probably shouldn't talk about our sunny, pleasant spring weather here.
No, you shouldn't, but that's okay. I understand. But there's a saying in Alberta, wait 5 minutes, the weather changes. And it really does, actually. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with our top 5 albums of the 1990s. We've covered 1990, 1991. Episode for 1992 will be airing, I believe, Friday. We are back with 1993. Now, a lot of things happened in 1993. You had the return of Meatloaf with Bad Out of Hell 2. What else? That's about it, really, on my end that I can remember.
My top five plus the
Yeah,
honorable mentions are all Meatloaf.
there you go. There you go.
There were some really long songs on that album, so that would be appropriate, I guess. It's
Yeah, like 12-minute and 10-minute. And yeah,
as singles even,
yes,
which was
yes,
pretty wild in 1993.
yes, yes. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, Bill and I have picked our top 5 albums each, plus 2 honorable mentions. And again, as is customary with these episodes, I am passing the virtual mic over to Mr. Bill Schuster.
Thank you,
Bill,
sir.
please, please
All right,
start.
I'm going to start uh, right out of the bat with someone who has not appeared on these countdowns since the 70s. He kept on making music the whole time. But the last time that either of us mentioned him was in 1979 when I put in my top five his album, Joe's Garage. This one is a lot different than that. This is The Yellow Shark by Frank Zappa. And it's actually also by conductor Peter Rundle and the Ensemble Modern. Frank doesn't actually play on this. He was the composer for all of these tracks. This was essentially the first time, not counting his earlier album with conducted by uh, Pierre Boulez, that he truly had players that took his classical style compositions seriously and actually liked playing them, which kind of makes this stand out in his catalog. It's mostly instrumental. There's a couple of tracks, the only two that Frank himself conducted. Peter Rundle conducted the rest of the album. Uh, those two tracks that Frank conducted are a bit odd. They have some spoken word stuff in them, kind of performance art stuff. But really, this is very modern classical with bits of jazz, electronica. I mean, don't think Mozart, Beethoven, anything like that. Think at least like Webern, Verisi, Bartok, older, Stravinsky, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's weird and wonderful. Um, Zappa was all over the map, as any even casual Zappa fans know. You never know what you're going to get from one album to the next. You can't just dip into his catalog and pick something and know what you're getting into. Uh, this is one of those love it or hate it things. If you're into interesting, well played instrumental music, this is really highly recommended. And it is also the last album that came out before Frank died. So, yeah, check it out. This is awesome.
It's a good choice. I completely forgot about that when I was doing my list. I'm trying to get myself a copy of that, but
I
it's quite
lucked out. And,
expensive.
yeah, I found a $10 copy at one of our local pawn shops 2 or 3 years ago. So it was just pure lucky chance.
Oh, tell me about it. I think I saw it on Amazon for like $94.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I
For,
did get
for
lucky.
yeah, from like a secondary seller. So too rich for my blood right now, so I'm not gonna.
I would not have paid that much for it. I'd have been happy with a digital copy at that point.
There you go. There you go. Well, no, that's a good choice. That's a really good choice. we are going from one end of the spectrum to another. My number five, it's a bit of a multiple choice here, but my number five is Lenny Kravitz with "Are You Gonna Go My Way?" Um,
I think
released in as he leaves the screen, released in '93, of course. Um, this
yeah, you
song,
knew what was coming.
there you go. There you, there you go. This album is interesting because it was recorded purposely on all analog equipment. So you can hear the hisses and the pops in terms of the audio tape that he used, the recording tape. The title track, which is a modern telling of the coming of Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Because according to Lenny Kravitz, Jesus Christ was the ultimate rock star. Other songs of note are the second track, Believe. Is There Any Love in Your Heart, which was another single. Those are the three singles. Um, I mean, Lenny Kravitz is, usually known as a funk artist, but he rocks out on this album. So, I mean, um, I just thought it was amazing, right? At the time. But there were other ones that came out after that. I thought, you know what? Yeah, this deserves to be on the list, but this is number five. So,
Yeah, he one of his big influences was definitely this guy.
mhm.
Yeah, Lenny was he's pretty cool. He's very always been very retro, obviously, but with a modern tinge to it. He's pretty much either like what he does or you don't. If you like that sound, then he does it well. So yeah,
Yeah,
I like him. Yeah.
yeah, and he's actually coming out with a new album, I believe, in May. Um, I do have it pre-ordered, naturally, but yeah, that's my number five.
All right, cool. Good choice. My number five is definitely moving away from the classical music realm here. This is the second album, and so far the last album from this band. They had a major member change from their debut. One of their primary members left, but the rest of the band carried on and made an album that I think was even better than their debut. It is Spilt Milk by Jellyfish, which is short story. It's a power pop album and a damn
Mhm.
good one. Yeah, these guys are studio pros. They had all kinds of little bells and whistles on this album, but the main thing is they brought the songs, and these are just catchy hook-filled pop songs, expertly done. Uh,
Mhm.
this album should have been a big hit, but it's a cult classic. I mean, people that are really into this are likely this sound are already familiar with this album. The power pop crowd definitely knows it. Um, the first song I heard from it was "The Ghost at Number One" in a CD exchange program I was part of a couple decades ago. That was enough to make me go buy the album, and I'm glad I did. I got the first one too. It didn't quite make my list. It's a good album, also. I mean, for that year,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think this one is even better, which is why it did make my list. So if you like power pop and you haven't heard this, you gotta.
yeah,
It's one of the best in that genre.
yeah. No, I agree. And you would think that the fact that they were on Virgin Records, and I mean, a major label, as was Lenny Kravitz, you would think that the push from Virgin would put them over the top. But I heard that there were interpersonal relate problems between the singer, drummer, and the guitarist, keyboardist, like near the end of their run together. But good choice. Good choice. Um, my number four, again, it's another multiple choice. No, it's not. U2 is Europa. Um, U2 at this point, they had come out with Achtung Baby. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat there for a sec. Achtung Baby. In 1991, they went on the Zoo TV tour, which took them around the world. In between that, though, during the tour, they stopped to record these 10 tracks for Zooropa. much more scaled down in terms of production, in terms of instrumentation. Is it as strong as Achtung Baby? No way, no way in hell. Not even close. Um, the lead off track, 5 minutes plus, great track. Babyface, the second track is good. Is good. Numb, the lead off single, has that sort of hypnotic program drum beat to it with the Edge doing his monotone vocal all the way through, right? Um, Dirty Days, another good song. Lemon, the dance track featuring Brian Eno on backup vocals, you know, and Daddy's Gonna Pay for Your Crash Car, which was a concert favorite where you had uh, Bono dressing up in a gold lame suit with devil's horns on his head and pancake makeup on his face when they did this live. So it is a good album. Has it stood the test of time? There are select tracks. The ones I've mentioned are good, but it is the weaker of the two between this and Achtung Baby, or Achtung Baby, sorry. So yeah, that's my number four.
Daddy's Gonna Pay for Your Crash Car is a great song title. It's very, very attention grabbing. And it makes me chuckle just hearing it. So yeah.
You should see the live version when they do it on Zoo on the at the Zoo TV tour live in Australia. They do it as an encore, and yeah, um, after the song, just quickly after the song is over, um, Bonner looks at the crowd and says, "Look what you've done to me," like all dressed up, and he sounds like Katharine Hepburn when he does it, right? Like he's got that voice, right?
Look what you've done to me.
Exactly. Yes, yes. And he goes by the name of Mephisto as a character. So yeah, no, it's good. It's a good, like I said, I mean, that track is good. It starts off side two. Um, but overall, as an album, as a cohesive album, it's a bit weaker. I mean, just quickly, there's a song called The Wanderer, the last track on the album with Johnny Cash on vocals. But yeah, it's my number four.
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny Cash, and I'm here to tell you about my number three choice.
Okay.
All right, my number three has nothing to do with Johnny Cash, and I don't have a prop for this one. It's the only one I don't have a prop for in this episode, and there's a reason for that. Because when this album came out, it did not come out in a vinyl format, it did not come out in a CD format. Uh, my copy that I lost in my divorce way back when, uh, it was a video cassette, which was the full length album. I mean, a VHS tape, excuse me. Um, that was the full length album, and there was a bonus cassette with 5 of the songs selected from the full VHS album.
Really?
Yeah, each of the songs on this album had a video for it, of course. And at the time, the band was called what I still call them Green Jello. Now they go by Green Jelly because, well, the Jello company didn't have much sense of humor.
Oh,
Yeah,
trademark.
I don't care. I'm stubborn. I call them Green Jello.
Okay.
But the album was called Serial Killer. Serial
Oh,
as in Cereal. And the serial killer was, of course, Toucan, son of Sam, in the song. And the video had mascots from various, snap, crackle, pop. Yeah. And the hit from the album that got played on the rock stations was Three Little Pigs. The oldest pig his daddy was a rock star named Pig Nugent.
I'm getting it. I got it.
Little pig, let me in. Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. If you've heard it back then, you know what I'm talking about. It was played incessantly in my area.
Holy shit. Okay.
But yeah, there were also other tracks, such as was it the Misadventures of Shit Man?
Oh,
Yeah,
gee.
and a full, highly disgusting, gruesome video where Shit Man comes to life, and there's all kinds of feces flooded everywhere, and it's quite a scene. And Flight of the Skajakwada is another one, and
Oh my
the
God.
Electric Harley House of Love. The thing is, I mean, these all sound like jokey song titles. They even had one, Anarchy in Bedrock,
Oh my
which
God.
was
Okay.
the Flintstones doing a version of the Sex Pistols song Anarchy in the UK. That gives you an idea where they're coming from. But these were all, I mean, top quality musicians. These people knew what they were playing. Uh, they were just having fun with it.
Okay.
He put out more albums since, but I don't think any of them ever really did anything chart wise. But this was briefly a moment. I wish I had managed to retain that VHS cassette monstrosity in the divorce, even though I no longer have an active VHS or cassette
Yeah.
player.
Okay. Yeah.
But it
A
was just such a
collector's
cool
something.
artifact. So yeah, I get by on my digital copy now, but
That's cool.
yeah, it was cool. But yeah, that's my number three. Green Gel O Serial Killer.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm petty about the name. That bugs me.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Okay. My number three is Smashing Pumpkins with Siamese Dream. Again, another Virgin signing, and that was completely by coincidence. To me, this is to me it's seen to me as their breakout album with songs like Today, Rocket, uh, the beautiful, poetic, majestic Disarm. With the symphonic, the cellos and the whole symphonic arrangement. Luna is another good track. Cherub Rock is another track. Um, this is where I think the band started coming to their own. Melancholy and Infinite Sadness 2 years later would be their sort of statement in terms of doing a double album, double concept album kind of a thing. But this was a good launching pad for them. I know they had an album prior to this, but the video for Today and Disarm and Rocket were all over Much Music here in Canada, and it helped to propel the album uh, to astronomic heights, right, on the charts. So that is my number three.
Nice. Yeah, Disarm was enough to sell me. That when I heard that on the radio, it definitely captured my interest, and
Yeah,
I didn't get the album until about 2 years later when I found a copy in my local pawn shop. Because
yeah. I mean, when you hear the symphonic strains of the cello and then the timpani drums happening, like it's beautiful. Like
yeah,
it's amazing. But
yeah, that's one of the great singles of the '90s. That's
yeah,
I love that song in particular. It's a
I
good
think
album. That song especially is.
I think it's one of the defining singles of the 90s, actually. Like one of the where you were when you heard that song, kind of a thing. But anyway, so it is my number three.
Nice. Okay, this is the fifth album by this band, and it's the fifth time that I've had them somewhere on my list. Last time, literally the previous year, 1992, that we did.
Mhm.
They were an honorable mention. This time they've rebounded big and almost took the top spot again. It is Concrete Blonde with Mexican Moon. This was the first one I bought originally on CD rather than cassette, which was the format for the previous four. So this was kind of a big deal for me. I was excited. I was early in my CD collecting era here, very early, uh, and yet the album disappointed me at the time because it didn't seem as full of the easy, catchy melodies, the hooks the pop stuff that was on some of the other albums. It was a more serious work,
Mm,
and they were trying different sounds, different styles, and it wasn't necessarily all easy to listen to on the first go through. That, and plus, of course, the CD era, you got 13 songs on here, so it's longer. They typically had 10 songs per album.
mm,
Um, and some of these were a bit longer tracks in general. There's great songs on here, though. The title track might be my favorite, Mexican Moon, and the final track on here. Let's hope I don't screw this pronunciation up. Bajo la Luna Mexicana is the Spanish language version of Mexican Moon and is also quite lovely.
uh,
Um, there's Jonestown, which opens with a very disturbing audio quote from Jim Jones himself. You know, yeah, we all know who Jim Jones was. Yeah, it's a pretty disturbing song. Hearing him howl to open it up. One of the odd things on here is, where is it at? Oh crap! Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, I can't find it. All right, never
okay.
mind. Don't mind me, folks. Still going on yesterday's sleep as usual.
You're looking for a
Um,
song, you said?
yeah, it wasn't the one I thought it was. Close to Home though is a lovely song that's it's almost a duet between Johnette Napolitano and Jim Mankey, and of course Jim doesn't really do vocals.
Yeah.
Jim is the guitar player, so but it's just a really sweet, simple song that kind of
Mhm.
harkens back to their earlier days a bit. They cover Into the Line, which was written by Brian Ferry. That's their traditional. They got to have at least one cover on the albums back in those years, just
Yeah.
because.
Mm.
Um, pretty sure. Oh, they have a Steve Wynn cover also. When You Smile. The rest are all band originals, mostly written by Johnette. Um, some co-writes for Jim Mankey. But yeah, it's a much more expansive, much more experimental album than their previous stuff. Obviously, it's grown on me over the years.
Yeah.
I like it a whole lot more than I did when it first came out. Um, yeah, if you like the rest of their catalog, it's well worth getting this and just let it grow. Give it a little time to breathe, and yeah, it's worth the investment if you like their general sound.
I got you. I'm gonna check that one out too.
And the cover art, I'm trying to remember. I think this might actually be some of Johnette's artwork.
Hmm. Hmm.
Which, yeah, she is very much an all-around artist, not simply a musician. She's yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. Okay, my number two, and you're gonna see a lot more from these guys going on in the count, going through with the countdown as we continue, is the debut major label release from Windsor, Ontario's own The Tea Party, called Splendor Solace. Um, this came out in September of '93 through EMI Canada, Chrysalis in the UK, Chrysalis in the US. The lead-off single was called The River. Now, if I've mentioned the Tea Party on this channel quite a bit, just like I've mentioned Saga and other Canadian bands. If I was to give you a description of the Tea Party, think of Led Zeppelin crossed with the Doors. Okay. Uh, a trio, uh, heavy drums, intricate guitar work, fantastic bass work, use of mellotron, keyboards, and also Middle Eastern influences in terms of their instrumentation. No, the lead up single was The River, which is the first track that I heard from them in the first video. And coincidentally, I've said the story before. I was listening to the a huge 4 CD box set of Led Zeppelin when this video of the river came on TV. And I stopped what I was listening to, which was No Quarter, and started to watch the video for the river. And I was mesmerized. Other songs I've known on the album are Save Me, the second single, which, yes, Jeff Martin does use a bow on the guitar during the middle eight section of the track. He's a big Jimmy Page fan. They were also friends at one point. They did some unreleased recordings together. Other songs of note: the third single, "A Certain Slant of Light," the acoustic instrumental "Winter Solstice," the last track on the album, "The Majestic Song," and "In This Time." If you want to go back in time to say like early 70s, late 60s rock, heavy drums, big production. All the albums, with the exception of their 95 release, were produced by Jeff Martin to keep production costs down. Uh, Please check this album out. You can get it on Discogs. It is simply mind blowing, but that's just my opinion. And they would only get better on from here. So that's my number two, The Tea Party with Splendor Solace.
Yeah, that's one of those long-term projects for one of our new music discovery things. But for me this time, I'm very familiar with the song "The River" because that was one of those that was on that long ago CD exchange program, but not as much the rest. So, but "The River" was great. Yeah, I love that song. That's yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And when he says long ago about that episode about new music discovery, we're talking October. So I mean, we're still going to work on that. So that's number two. Yeah.
we have a long list.
Yes, we do. I think we're booked up to 2026. Yeah.
You're right. All right, number one. This should come as no surprise to very much of anybody who's watched this series anywhere near in its entirety, going back to the 70s. My number one is Counterparts from Rush. For many years, this was my favorite Rush album. It's knocked down to the number two spot over the last couple of years, but that's still pretty high in the Rush catalog, obviously. Considering, I mean, I rate this above all the 70s albums, all the 80s albums. I mean, that's not a popular view, but I really am a huge fan of the modern era of Rush, which began with this album to me and
Mhm.
continued all the way through to their final album, Clockwork Angels. To me, you can put those five albums on shuffle and they sound like they belong together. I know some would disagree with that. People talk about, oh yeah, Clockwork Angels is the best thing they've done since the 70s. It's the same shit they've been doing since Counterparts. What are you talking about? But that's
Yeah,
either
yeah,
here nor there. uh,
I get it.
yeah, the first song I heard on this was Nobody's Hero. I didn't even know that Stick It Out had been a single because I never heard that one on the radio, oddly. I did hear Nobody's Hero quite a bit, and that one caught me instantly. The sound with the acoustic guitar and everything caught me, but the lyrics in particular caught me.
Yeah,
You got to consider for 93, what Neil was talking about in those lyrics was still kind of taboo in a lot of ways. I mean, hell, for some dumbasses, it still is.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I say that with no apologies. Um,
No
yeah,
need.
he talked about going to a party and being the only straight person there, and said all it did was broaden his horizons. And
Yeah,
that was a pretty powerful message for 1993, coming from a band like this that has probably a lot of macho guy fans that
yeah,
wouldn't even want to think about anything like that. And I think that opened a lot of minds, and I think that was pretty freaking awesome. But that's
yeah,
just one song.
yeah,
I mean, the whole album is damn good. Animate is a great opener. It's like 6 minutes long. It just starts out with killer Neil drums, and it's an anthem. Not to be confused with the song Anthem. I
yeah,
like this better than Anthem. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, there's every song on here is excellent. I'm a big fan of Cold Fire. It's one of Neil's relationship lyrics, but done in the way that only he can do it. Uh, this is not Moon in June kind of stuff here. Um, and Everyday Glory, that can be a tearjerker of a song.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I don't want to misquote the lyric, so I'm gonna unfold my lyric sheet just to make sure the whole song's great. It's basically about a child who's being abused and living in a very bad situation.
Yeah.
But the final lines are, if the future is looking dark, we're the ones who have to shine. If there's no one in control, we're the ones who draw the line. Though we live in trying times, we're the ones who have to try. Though we know that time has wings, we're the ones who have to fly. I That's some of my favorite lyrics that man ever came up with. That is such a powerful conclusion to the song and to the album, and just such a strong message. Really great stuff, and it's one of the songs on the album that actually has a bit more keyboard. They'd gone away from the keyboards more here and using them just as a little more shading, but that one has a
Yeah.
stronger keyboard presence on it, and I think it works well with that particular song.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is essentially just Rush coming into their identity as a modern three-piece rock band again, just
Yeah.
taking away some of the bells and whistles and just like, what do we want to play, guys? And yeah, I still love it. It's a brilliant album. It's not for everybody, but it's definitely for me.
No, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. And just coincidentally, the individual that Nobody's Hero is based on, he used to work for Rush and on their tours.
Oh, all right. After just having read that book, well, if I can get my finger up there, that
Yeah.
one, yeah, My F and Life, Geddy Lee's biography. I just got done with that a couple weeks ago, and yeah, I know who you're talking about now, right? Wow, I did not know that was about him.
Yeah. And I'm still reading the book, guys. So we're going to be doing a book review on Geddy Lee's book at some point in time. Okay. We're
Yeah,
going to
it's definitely, if you're a Rush
good
fan,
read.
get it.
Yeah. Okay, on with the show. To my number one, Jellyfish with Spilt Milk. Their second release. Uh, there was a band that I remember that was being touted from the US being called the New Queen. And I'm not sure if it was Jellyfish or not, but you can definitely hear the influences of Queen and the Beatles and the Beach Boys in their brand of power pop. Great album. Songs of note are Hush, the 2 minute plus intro, like intro track, which basically is a cappella, all done with overlapping harmony vocals. And they very much do sound like Queen on this track. Also, the lead up single Ghost at number one, just brilliant with the way they do the vocals. You know, just amazing. The call and response in terms of the choruses and stuff. Uh, Joining a Fan Club is another good track. Here's another track that when I hear it, it reminds me of Maxwell's Silver Hammer from Abbey Road. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I
Okay,
can't get Maxwell Silverhammer out of my head because I love that song.
okay. The track I'm referring to is Sabrina Paste and Play-Doh.
Okay.
When I
Okay.
hear, and forgive me, the guitarist's name, I forget his name. It's okay.
It is Andy Sturmer.
Andy Sturmer. Okay, when I hear that his vocals on that track, he does lead vocals, I believe, on that track. I automatically think of Maxwell Silverhammer from Abbey Road. Just the arrangement of the track, the pace which the vocals are done, the pacing of the vocals. Bloody hell. I mean, it's almost like a dead ringer. The The second single, New Mistake, is another fantastic track. So if you guys can get this, I saw it on Amazon for like 28 bucks, which is a bit pricey for this. But they're they've only released two albums, Jellyfish. They did break up because they basically just the two main members fell out of step. And the drummer and lead vocalist was also quote it was rumored that he was quite difficult to work with in terms of his perfectionism in the studio. Um, but that is my number one. So
Just for curious folks, that's what the debut album looked like.
yeah,
Belly Button.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, also
I
quite
think
good.
I think Spilt Milk is quite a step above the debut.
Yeah.
So if you can check it out on YouTube, please. If you are in the mood for good, complex, multi-layered, intricate power pop, this is for you. Okay, so please check it out. So over to Bill for his first honorable mention.
All right. My first honorable. Let's see. This is kind of an odd one. To the best of my knowledge, they still only have two albums out. I have both of them. They're kind of a folky vocal pop group. Um, they've got keyboards and guitars, not much in the way of drums or anything like that.
Mhm.
Their primary vocalist, the one that's most known, is Mary Fall, and the band is October Project. Yeah, they're kind of obscure. I mean, they're another one of those. If you know them, you know them. If you don't, I don't recall ever hearing anything in the radio. This is one of those that again, that CD exchange from years ago got me into, because the guy that started our whole CD exchange was a big fan of this band, and each round he would include one of their songs from one of the two albums, and made me have to go buy them both. Um, yeah, Mary Fall has a very distinctive voice. She's After leaving October Project a number of years later, she even did a solo version of the entire Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album, which is pretty
Jeez.
cool. I'm kind of a fan of a lot of artists have covered that entire album in their own particular style, so
Yeah.
that's always fun for me because it's such a well-known, such a classic album to hear
Cool.
different interpretations, and hers is quite nice. Um, it's not quite as off the beaten path as say Dub Side of the Moon, but yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, she has a very lovely, deep. It's not quite operatic, but it's somewhere along
Within
in,
that realm, yeah.
yeah. I mean, don't think like, oh, nothing quite like that, but it's very distinctive.
And you're hitting the notes today. Holy shit. I mean, that's
Yeah,
good.
I could pick out songs, but really, if you've the whole album is just, it kind of blends. You need the whole album. It's a kind of a mood piece almost. If you just want to sit down and chill out, and kind of similar to what I said about Sundays in 1990. This is an album to just sit back and vibe, just enjoy nature, just enjoy peace, have your favorite beverage, and just chill out.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Cool.
October Project, self-titled debut.
I believe that name is familiar to me. October Projects. Okay, that's cool. My first honorable mention is Meatloaf with Bad Out of Hell 2. Now, guys, when I bought this album at first, I listened to it all the way through. I thought it was great. There's a reason why it's an honorable mention. I mean, it's a good album. The lead off single, I Do Anything for Love, but I won't do that. Clocking in at 12 minutes even. Give me a break. I mean, it's a long song. The album clocks in at almost like 75 minutes plus. Other songs of note are Life is a Lemon, I Want My Money Back. Um, Rock and Roll Dreams Come Through. Objects in the mirror may appear larger than what they are, than they are. Wasted youth, everything louder than everything else. Lost Boys and Golden Girls. It's a good album. Uh, is it better than Bat Out of Hell one? Hell no, no, no. I mean, he signed to Virgin in the UK, signed to MCA in North America. It was a big hit. It was his comeback in terms of albums, but it has not stood the test of time. I'm sorry. A lot of the songs were featured on Jim Steinman's album Bad for Good from 1981. Um, Rock and Roll Dreams Come Through was one of them. Uh, Lost Boys is another one. It just does not stand the test of time. And I mean, with you want to talk about, you know, flogging a dead horse. I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that. Had like three different versions to it. You had the album version, 12 minutes. You had the uh, edited extended single, 7 minutes and 39 seconds. You had the edited version, 5 minutes and 32 seconds. Give me a fucking break. Just oversaturation on the, in terms of the album. And it just, again, it has not stood the test of time. So,
I know Steinman came back, obviously, and that was a big part of why it was the comeback for Meatloaf. But
yeah.
I have no idea. Did Todd Rundgren have any involvement with this?
Backup vocals.
That's it. Huh? So no production, no guitar or anything like that this time.
No,
That could be a
it was
big difference.
produced by Jim Steinman. He had players on there like Kenny Aronson, who worked with Corey Hart, John Cougar Mellencamp, most notably. But and there was rumor that Melissa Etheridge was going to sing the co-lead vocal um on I Do Anything for Love, but I won't do that.
It would have been interesting.
Meatloaf wanted Melissa. I guess then he heard Patty Russo and had her come on. I think it was Patty Russo. Um, and again, Todd Rundgren's duties were relegated to just backup vocals, uh, which I don't understand it, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's a very key element of the original Bad Out of Hell that's taken right out of the equation. Right there is a big strike. So
Yeah, yeah. You can probably get it today for like, there's like deluxe editions, double disc editions, whatever you want to call them. But you know what? Again, the album does not stand the test of time. So that's why it is an honorable mention.
probably go to your local used
Thrift
CD
shop.
store or pawn shop and find a copy or three or four for 99 cents.
Yeah, true enough.
All right. Yeah, I don't mean to smack talk it too bad. I like it, but yeah, it's not the original,
No,
certainly.
no.
All right. My final honorable mention. All right, I said Green Jello was the only one I didn't have a copy of. Well, it's kind of sort of. This
Okay.
one I have a physical copy of every single album in their catalog, but unfortunately, this one, the debut album by this band, I only have as part of this box set. It is Earthbound by the Rocket Scientists. And that is what the album cover actually looks like. This is from the
Okay.
booklet from the box set here.
Okay.
Uh, this band is primarily keyboard player Eric Norlander and guitarist Mark McCright. They shared vocals on this album, though traditionally going forward, Mark would do the bulk of the vocals with some guest vocalists.
Mhm.
Uh, they, let's see, Don Schiff is also on this album. He wasn't technically a member until later, but he was always there. He played the Chapman stick, the NS stick, regular bass. He was kind of one of the early adopters of these
It's a lot of
stick
sticks.
instruments. Yeah, and Don's claim to fame also is that he actually used to play with Elvis Presley way back when. So yeah, Don's a little bit older than the other guys.
Okay.
See on the cover here, he's the one with the white hair popping out from under the hat. But yeah, anyway, this is a modern progressive rock band, and this particular album, you could almost call them progressive pop. Mark McCrite, in particular, is a big fan of the Beatles and the Monkees and that sort of thing. So that comes out in some of the music. They redid a lot of these songs later on this very box set in the 2007 sessions and kind of expanded upon them and kind of showed off their chops a little more. Um, this also features some backup vocals by Eric's wife, Lana Lane, who will feature in the future. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, this was them in their primitive stages, but there's still some really good songs here, and it kind of points the direction that they were going to go. Obviously, any form of progressive rock was not very popular in 1993, and well, there was no commercial success involved
Mhm.
whatsoever here.
Mhm.
I only found it by, well, looking backward, frankly, to quote the title of the box set. But
Okay.
yeah, if you dig progressive rock, if you wondered what was going on with that genre at all in the 90s, the Rocket Scientists albums are worth checking out. They could appear again. I'll just leave it there.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. My last honorable mention for this episode for 1993 is Duran Duran with the self-titled from 93, otherwise known as the Wedding Album. This album was considered to be their comeback in terms of sales. But Duran Duran in the 90s, they kind of were hit and miss. One album would hit, the next album would bomb, and then the next album would hit, up and down. This album, there were three singles. Ordinary World, which was the big hit, or the main first big hit, Come Undone, which was the second single, and Too Much Information, the third single, which was more of a rocking track. But I mean, I prefer Ordinary World and Come Undone. Come Undone has a female vocalist on doing like a call and response with Simon Le Bon. I honestly thought it was Lisa Dalbello, which I've mentioned before, I've talked about before, but it's not Lisa Dalbello. Um, but those three songs are basically, you know, the songs that people know and they like, and there's another song called Femme Fatale on the album. This was where Warren Cucurullo, who worked with Frank Zappa, Missing Persons, who was in the band at this point, is a full-time member. Again, released to EMI. They would release another album the next year called Thank You, which was an album of covers that, although the lead up single White Lions did okay, the rest of the album bombed. So again, but you had Duran Duran at this point with the self-titled, the wedding album, basically back on top for a bit. So that is my last honorable mention. So,
Nowadays, 93 doesn't really seem like very far from their commercial heyday at all. But back
yeah,
then, yeah, that seems like it was a huge, oh, wow, these guys are still around? What? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
For them to be
Ooh,
that
yeah, yeah.
successful all of a sudden seemed kind of weird. In fact, Come Undone and Ordinary World, I was playing a 90s playlist in the car with my wife, Stacy, just about a week or two ago. And she had forgotten that Duran Duran even did one of the songs, and she didn't know that they had been the ones that did the other song. She recognized them both when they played, but that's kind of the thing there. When she's like me, when she thinks of Duran Duran, think
Yeah.
Rio. Is there something I should know? Hungry like the wolf, you knew the snake, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, the reflex and yeah,
yeah,
all that stuff.
but yeah,
Yeah.
those are good songs though. That's a
Yeah. No. I mean, as in terms of dance tracks, they know, how to do a good pop dance track. But I mean, they also did other stuff too, like that bordered on like almost goth, like stuff like that, right? Like or and more new wave, a lot of textures, a lot of some synth textures and stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, when they released this album, they caught a break. I mean, in terms of
yeah,
because at that point they were pretty much dead in the water. So,
yeah. It
but
almost
yeah,
seems like
so
a lucky fluke there, but yeah, good for them that they got it.
yeah, yeah,
Career
and
revival.
and also their new one, which I have somewhere here. Hold on, you're not the only one with props there, Bill. Hold on. This one here, Dance Macabre. This one came out, October 27th. This is kind of like a reworking of some album stuff, album tracks, and three new tracks. But this is more like it's kind of, it has a bit of a Halloween theme. So I mean, and this is back, you know, they're back again with this one. This was pretty successful too. So yeah, I mean, you can never count these guys out, right? So, but there you go, guys. Our top five albums in 1993, plus two honorable mentions. I want to thank Bill for joining me on this episode. We will be back with 1994 momentarily. But guys, listen, put in the comments down there, down below, your top albums in 1993, whether it be five, two, three, 10, a couple of honorable mentions, sorry. And please, again, there are no right or wrong answers, right? Just opinions. And
I know
we
we're
are
going to see George in the comments.
sorry.
So
Oh
I know
yeah,
we're
no,
going to see
that's
George in the comments.
thank you very much. Yes, yes, George. It's good to see you there. And you know what? I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. Before we started taping this episode, we decided, well, I came up with the idea to do an episode on yes in Tales of Topographic Oceans. And the title of the episode will be, and this comes from Bill. The title is Triumph or Turd. So we are going to be discussing Tales of Topographic Oceans at some point. So all you haters, bring it on. Okay.
Oh, you lovers, bring it on.
There you go. Any opinions that you have, bring it on. So we're going to be working on that as well. So for Bill Schuster, I am Armando Venditti, bidding you all a farewell. Please look after yourselves and one another. If it's snowing where you are, like it is here, please drive safe. If it's shut up, Bill. if
My
it's if
sunglasses.
it's really snowy, please drive safe. If you're enjoying the weather, why? Why not me? Anyways, that's it for now. We will see you soon with another video from Mr. Bill Schuster. I am Armando Venditti, bidding you all a good day, and we'll see you very soon. Bye for now.